Customer service needed in electronics. Store associates, please report to electronics.
All these stores look the same. You think I had lost my head?
Oh, I don't even know what I'm looking for. I think I was nuts.
Yeah, I heard that. You don't want that.
Nope, you don't want that. Oh, excuse me. I didn't mean to walk straight at you. Oh, and don't forget to have a nice day. Shopping is crazy. Makes you just want to go check into a mental institution where it's nice and quiet. Are you finding everything okay? You sure you don't need some help?
Oh, I'll help you.
Yeah, I think you're gonna need some help. Now let me help screw your head back on.
Welcome to the show. We're going to be talking about things that are seemingly logistically impossible. And those are the types of things that targeted individuals deal with on a regular basis. Things that other people would think were completely insane, completely out of the realm of possibilities. But for targeted individuals, well, they are blessed to walk in that place where they see things that other people just don't know about. They're going to find out about it. They just don't know about it now. And I've talked about the fact that at the root, gangstalking is spiritual. Okay, that's my opinion, and I can have that. That doesn't mean there isn't technology involved. It's just a fact in my world. Okay. And I've talked about some of the strange things that I've experienced. And I've talked about time dilation and all those things, to where I've, dealt with people who, in my opinion, were under the influence of the demonic. And they told me things that were going to happen, 5, 10, 15, 20 years in advance. And they did, with, exact, minute detail, 100% accuracy. Now that I've brought that up, there's a lot of fuss in the religious community about all these people who claim to be prophets. Oh, what they said was going to come to pass didn't come to pass, so they're a false prophet. If that's your criteria, you're in serious trouble. Because I've seen people who I know are not working for God and who don't know Him pull this off. Okay, and it's not about the individuals. It's not some special superpower or anything. It's demonic, is what it is. And I've seen it happen. So I made a rule a long time ago. I don't pay attention to dreams. I don't pay attention to prophetic utterances. If you differ with me on that opinion, you go ahead and do that all day long. Because the things that I've seen, I'm not messing around with it. And a lot of people, their lives are seemingly boring. A lot of people are just not aware of all the things that targeted individuals, are exposed to, or things that are supernatural, right? It's wild, man. And I've talked about that before, that when you look at the reality of the story of the Bible and all these things, the Lord of the Rings hasn't got nothing on reality. It's just that people are kept blinded to all these things, right? And what happens is their lives seem dull and boring, and they're watching all these movies. Oh, I wish I was, living in a world that interesting. Well, they are. They just don't know it. They don't. And when they get into church and people start talking about, prophetic utterances or whatever, they get excited about that. That's new, and people want to experience all these different things. Some of that gets pretty dangerous. I've made videos about that, where a lot of these gurus that are false prophets or false teachers, they're backed up by the spirit realm, and a lot of times there's phenomena that goes along with what they're doing, and they can critique people, and they can influence them to be deceived. Okay, but anyway, the reason I went on that little rabbit trail is because there are things that are manipulating people, that are influencing people, and we're going to talk about the crescendo effect. Okay, it's something that I think a lot of targeted individuals deal with, and it can be extreme or it can be, kind of subtle. And I've used the example before of, a grocery store or a shopping mall or whatever, and that was kind of what the intro was about. To where, and believe it or not, I think a lot of people, everybody, not just targeted individuals, are subjected to this, because I've experienced this stuff my whole life. Okay, it's kind of like that, that lunchroom effect, or a restaurant or whatever, to where you'll have a lot of people talking, and you're speaking loudly so you can be heard, and then all of a sudden, everybody just gets quiet. Everybody just gets quiet, and there you are yelling, right? Hopefully what you're talking about is something that you'd like to share with the rest of the people around you, because it's a weird, and I know you've experienced it, but when you get into, maybe a restaurant or a shopping mall or a grocery store or whatever, and all of a sudden things just start to get chaotic, okay? And it can involve a lot of different things. And usually for targeted individuals, it's something that is a buildup. So it might even start the day before. You might experience sleep deprivation. You might be getting things, along the lines of a mental narrative that comes into your mind that is just agitating the hell out of you. Annoying. Things are popping into your mind. Your body is just not working right. You're feeling stiff. Your joints are hurting. You're having a hard time breathing. You can't think straight. It's just everything is just kind of off kilter, and it all starts to kind of build up, and everything is just annoying the hell out of you. It's an equation of frustration and agitation. And then you get into that scenario where there's a lot of people involved. I've seen it. And kids will start acting crazy. They'll start running around and being hyper, maybe at a grocery store, banging into your shopping cart or whatever. Little kids will start screaming. Babies are, freaking out or whatever. Animals are, starting to misbehave. And it kind of reminds me a little bit about that. You guys remember the scene on Damien? I think they had it where there was these monkeys or whatever that were, starting to freak out in the original 1971, and then they had another version in 2006 where Damien was at, a type of zoo that had an enclosure, and this gorilla started to, go and break the glass, and all the animals and the kids are starting to freak out, but it was peaceful, and they just kind of started to drum up. The spiritual influences in the vicinity just really started to agitate everyone, and there was a lot of stress. And I've seen that. I've seen it happen. People, they become confused. It even involves, a whole, metropolitan area. I've noticed that some days everybody will just be in a bad mood. People are honking at each other in traffic. They're driving erratically. They're flipping each other off. There's a lot of road rage going on. You walk into a store and people are like, they're kind of trying to get around you, and the people that are working the desk are, crabby. Here's your change, or whatever. It's just like, it seems like it happens to everybody. I remember hearing about some type of, technology in Seattle that they were using, and I don't know if it's true or not. I just heard about it. I think I read something on it. You guys have probably heard about it. That they were beaming out over a certain area out there, and it was affecting people. They were able to literally affect the moods of the people in that geographical area. I don't know, but I don't know. I would have to guess at something like that. But I think it's a spiritual thing, and I think that with all the other phenomena that targeted individuals deal with, it can be combined with a lot of different things too. Okay, street theater, directed conversations. And you hear a lot of people talk about the aerial vehicles the ambulance and the fire truck type of phenomena. And, for me, and there's a lot of videos out there online. I think some of them are more compelling than others. There's a guy that it looks like he lives out of town. I've seen his videos, and he has a lot of videos of police and fire trucks and stuff driving by his house with lights flashing. And it's, I guess you'd have to look at the options they have as far as the geographical, strategical, scenario of what the roads are like. But that did look a little suspicious. But for me to assume, like some targeted individuals do with syllogistic reasoning, that if they come upon an accident scene or, they see a fire truck or whatever, that it has to do with them, I think that's taking it way too far. And just like the controlled programming video that I made, there's a way that this stuff can affect you, and I think that it can be orchestrated like a symphony, right? And it can involve the targeted individual, but to assume that the fire department or the police or the ambulance crew, the first responders, are in on this thing and they're setting up an accident scene for the target, no, I don't see that. I can see though that targeted individuals can be prepped, and they can be manipulated emotionally and mentally, and they can even be manipulated to be moved into an area where they're going to be exposed to something like that, and they're going to come to that conclusion. Or they might experience that type of mental attack, and they start getting anxious, and at that crescendo moment of anxiety and stress, well, here comes the fire truck or the ambulance or the plane seems to be buzzing your house. I had that happen a while ago, to where they must have been flying some type of a literal F-16, or it was a military aircraft of some sort, and they were breaking the rules, man. It sounded like that sucker was flying 100 feet over my house. I mean, it was rattling the windows, and here I was trying to make a video. I was tempted to just leave it in. But man, I mean, it was like thunder, scared the hell out of the cat. And, it's just, stuff like that. Did it have to do with me? Were they messing with me? No, I don't think so. Okay. But it could be set up that way. It could be set up to where here I am trying to accomplish something, or I have some type of mental narrative or spiritual influence that is agitating me. Right, and it can be combined with other things. They can pull a lot of strings, people, and then when that happens, there it is, the old symphony, the crescendo effect. And it's tempting to assume that some of the individuals you're dealing with are consciously doing this stuff, and I think some of them are. I'll give you guys another little entertaining story. I like to do that. Maybe I'll even make a soundbite at the end of the video with an example of this one, because this is just beyond, okay? And it did, involve a crescendo type scenario, but I was living in a sober house. It was back, I think it was in 2001, and I had to move out of that small community, right? And talking about, living in a small community, and it got to the point where I just had to leave. And, so I had to leave, and I came down, and I didn't really have a place to live, and I ended up living at this sober house, because, technically I'm an alcoholic. And anyway, it was just the opportunity that came about. But I had a roommate there, right? And this guy, he was pretty cool. We were friends. We went fishing and did a lot of things. In fact, we were fishing together when the 9/11 thing happened. I'll never forget it. But he had a real bad problem with benzos, just like I did, and alcohol. And he would take other drugs, and I think he was taking Paxil, if I remember correctly. But when he would drink alcohol, and this guy wasn't just somebody who would go get a six-pack of beer, okay? This guy drank vodka or whatever, hard liquor, and when he drank, he would just, he would guzzle the stuff. He would play water cooler with it, and he was hammered. I never did get into hard alcohol. I couldn't handle it. It didn't affect me the right way. I'd drink a bunch of it, and then it wouldn't kick in for like an hour, and it'd hit me all at once, and But this guy would drink that, and long story short, we weren't supposed to be drinking there or anything, and when you're a pill addict, when you're a pill head, especially when it comes to benzos. They don't work very well, and you're always in a state of anxiety. You're always in a state of withdrawal if you've got it bad, like I did, like he did. But he couldn't deal with it, man. And you take the pills, and they'd only work for a couple hours. But then you only get so many per month. And what do you do in the meantime, right? Because you've got a lot of hours in the day, especially if you can't sleep. And so this guy would mess up. In fact, he got kicked out of the city that I'm living in now because he went down to the damn psych center. I think it was like 20 or 30 times, and they finally bought him a plane ticket to fly him to Washington. That's how bad it can get. But anyway, getting back to the story, this guy would take Paxil and he would drink like vodka, but he would pass out and scream in his sleep. Okay, and I was his roommate. The weird part about this, I mean, that not if that isn't weird enough, but we had a bunch of people that lived there. Okay, we even had AA meetings at the house. And this guy would go on binges, man, and he would just sit down in the room and scream. And nobody said anything. If I used the bathroom too long, I got chewed out or something. I couldn't do anything right. But this guy, I don't know, if it was almost like he had one of those Santeria spells on him or something, and he could just get away with murder. I mean, he had half-gallon jugs of vodka empty, laying around his bed. And the guy that, ran the place would come down in there, and, we'd get in trouble even if we had a rumor about us, hanging around a bar or something. This guy had booze bottles all over his room, on that side of the room. And it was like they just were blind. Nobody knew. The guy came in and talked with him one time. He had a half-gallon jug of booze sitting next to him, and the dude didn't even see it. It was like he was under a spell. But this guy would scream, "Ah!" And he would do it. He would scream all night and all day, and he did it for weeks. In fact, we finally gave him the nickname Frankie because it reminded us of Frankenstein. Right? We'd be sitting up there, having an AA meeting, and you could hear him. And people would be at the meeting, what is that? "Ah!" And he'd just be down there screaming. And it's just bizarre. But I had to be his roommate, man. Okay? And, I was going through withdrawals and stuff like that would happen to me, and I would be trying to sleep. One time he kept me up for a week. I lost my job, man. And it was a nightmare, but I'd be sitting there in the dark. And my brain would just be getting tortured. All these things would be popping into my head, and then all of a sudden he would start in, and sometimes it would be just long enough to where he'd just be able to take another breath. And oh gosh, and not to mention all the other things that were going on. It was crazy. It was. To think that this guy, after a while, I was wondering if he was doing it purposefully, but he wasn't. And I don't know if it was just the medicine or not, because I don't know, it seemed demonic to me. It just did. And this guy was huge too. He was a concrete worker, about 6'5". So he could definitely make a lot of noise. And I've noticed that there's people around, the city that I'm living in now. They're doing. I was at the mechanic. I don't know. I think it was in. January or something like that. I had to get a lot of work done. It was right around the time that I had COVID. That was February, but it was right before that. I had a bunch of vehicle repairs. Just took all my money, and then I couldn't work because I was sick. But I was picking up the vehicle. And, the guy had quite a few people working in the shop, And all of a sudden I heard somebody just, and they were screaming, you, and I'm like, whoa, I think one of your workers is hurt. I was pretty freaked out, and the guy looked at me, he said, now, there's this guy that, here he is coming, and you could hear this dude, and he was just walking around screaming, profanities, and it's just, I've seen him walking around town. There's another guy that does it too. It's just creepy. But I thought, wow, that's weird. He said, yeah, I called the cops once. He's harmless, but yeah, it scared me too, he said. And so this guy, but I thought somebody, accidentally dropped a vehicle, on their leg or something. I didn't know what happened. But, there's a lot of things like that. There's this other guy. I was out over by the Dairy Queen picking up a delivery, and he was doing that. I didn't know what was going on. I thought, oh, man, there's got to be a big fight. Somebody's really getting into it. And I went around the corner. He was by himself, just sitting there. Really, I've been seeing a lot of that. There was another guy up at the mall, and, once again, I thought somebody was in a huge fight, and he was just yelling at a tree. I can't think of examples in the past, with the exception of Frankie, of people doing that. Help me out, guys. Put it in the comments. If you've noticed that lately, or if you can remember years ago, maybe decades ago, people just walking around screaming at the top of their lungs, for extended periods of time too. Profanities and things like that, all by themselves. I can't think of any. It's I don't know. And I've been seeing a lot of it. It's just weird. There's got to be something to it. But things like that can play in to the crescendo effect, because I think people are being manipulated. I think that things are being orchestrated around the targeted individual. And that's how I explain this kind of stuff. So, yeah, if you guys have any examples of that, I'd love to hear it. It makes me wonder. When you deal with weird stuff as a targeted individual, and I'll just admit this, you start wondering if any of this stuff is even real. It gets so crazy. I remember, wondering that when I was down in that room with Frankie screaming. I wonder if this is hell. There's just no way anything could be this crazy. Targeted individuals deal with that. It's just a form of freakiness that nobody else has to deal with, and it just makes you wonder if you're really in the neck of the woods that you think you are. It's enough to put you in a psychosis or something, which I think is probably the goal for most targeted individuals. If you guys have any ideas for videos, let me know. I like suggestions, especially when they're, controversial doctrinal issues concerning, Bible hermeneutics and stuff like that. I get into that. I've been adding a lot of videos to the playlist, guys. Do your homework. There's some pretty interesting stuff on the bioweapon thing that has to do with something that's coming out now. They're saying that this is the calm before the storm, and that people that received the vaccine are going to experience a huge burst of infections. That's what virologists are saying, and they're saying that it could literally happen within the next couple months, and it could happen for maybe even between 6 months to a year, and there's the possibility of maybe another shutdown. Okay, and then we have that deal over in Ukraine. Wow, this is getting insane. I'm not even going to say anything. Look at the Elite Conspiracy. I think that's the name of the deal on the playlist, because there's a lot of junk out there in the media, and I told you guys to look at Redacted on YouTube. They've got some pretty good stuff to expose the shenanigans that are going on and the disinformation that is being pumped at all of us. I'll end the video with another entertaining soundbite. Guys, be good to yourselves. Be safe. My gosh, you gotta pick these up. I can't believe you're just leaving these vodka bottles laying all around. I guess I'm above suspicion. Damn, dude, here comes the director. Just pretend like you're sick or asleep. Should I snore? This is serious. You're gonna get kicked out of here, man.
Just letting you guys know the AA meeting is going to be starting an hour early. And Rob, I've been hearing that you haven't been making the meetings. What's going on with that?
Yeah, he's passed out. He's not feeling well. He got the flu. So I'll try to wake him up before the meeting starts.
Well, you tell him if he's going to keep missing these meetings, he's got to see the doctor. It's been a month since he's been to a damn meeting. All right, you guys have a good night.
Man, this is crazy. There's no way he didn't see those bottles. You better get this place picked up. Rob, come on, he's gone. Oh, not again.